I know it sounds like I'm trying to give you more work to do, but that's only because I am.
I was too dumb to realize that.
And the home of the brave.
Game on!
Welcome to episode 40 of the Hit the Deck podcast, where we talk deck hockey, street hockey, ball hockey. It's hockey in sneakers. Oh, our podcast has turned 40. I feel like such an old man. Is there life after 40, James?
There had better be.
Yeah, I feel the same way. How are you, sir?
I'm doing pretty well, thanks. How about yourself?
I'm all right. Haven't talked to you in a week, really, give or take. So I am interested in knowing how your week was.
Pretty good, actually. At the recording of this podcast, we are in the midst of still Christmas season. So as at the recording of this podcast, tomorrow is the Epiphany, which is the 12 days of Christmas for people not familiar with that. So exactly. So it's a big deal in Italy. So all my paisans out there, buona, Epiphany and
Buona Natale.
That's yeah, because the La Befana, she's their version of Santa Claus. So she comes on the Epiphany as opposed to Christmas morning for us Midigan. So I hope everybody has a good Epiphany there over in the homeland, or my homeland anyway, of Italy, originally I should say. And so anyway, long story short, just recovering from the post-Christmas blahs, because after December 25th, I always get depressed. But I'm feeling pretty good now, so thank you.
Have you had any trouble finding 12 drummers drumming? It seems like every year it gets harder and harder to find some good drummers. I don't know. I guess they're just in high demand.
They are. To be quite frank with you, it's hard enough to find 12 deck hockey players to get a game going, so I'm not even going to bother looking for 9 ladies dancing and so on and so forth.
I mean, if they bang their sticks on the ground, that's kind of like drumming, so that's two birds with one stone, really.
There you go. I like it.
All right, great. So, done dusted, as the British would say. We are rude. We should introduce ourselves, and so let's just get that out there. Tonight's starting lineup: in goal, as ever, I am number 35, your American Rhino, Gary McComiskey, and of course, my co-host.
On defense, number 4, I'm James Sajazi.
Thank you, sir. And, before we go on in the podcast, we really should address the elephant in the room. Last week, when we were doing our year in review and our post-Christmas wrap-up, we neglected to mention that, James, you killed George Michael.
All right. Yeah. There is a record that I don't like George Michael. I didn't like George Michael, and I really didn't like his song Last Christmas. I absolutely did not wish the man dead. I swear on anything. I'm a Catholic. Okay. I try and lead my life as a good Catholic. I am a godfather, but I'm not that kind of godfather. So to be quite honest, if I wanted to knock somebody off, it really wouldn't have been Mr. George Michael. So, but the timing is just really ridiculous and it's scary. So if I do have any kind of superpowers, look out. So,
I'm sure what it was. I think he had a heart attack. I think, obviously we know what an avid Hit the Deck listener he was. So he probably heard the Christmas scrimmage and, he decided to give his heart away, like the song says.
Now I feel even worse because we lost a listener. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, American Rhino. I'll just go in the penalty box.
And I'm sorry to any George Michael or Wham fans.
Right.
We shouldn't really be making light of the man's death. It is very sad, for just, I guess, for the music industry as a whole, and especially anyone who's fans of him. It was just, as James said, we talked about it on the Christmas scrimmage, and then he passed. So it was... the timing was just very coincidental and definitely warranted mentioning. So
yeah, so
it has
thank
been
you
mentioned.
For that.
Oh, you're quite welcome.
But no, in all honesty, yeah, rest in peace. And it's amazing what an impact he did have, because listening to Sirius XM and other channels, I also heard a statistic that his music has gone up something like 2,000% for downloads and people buying it and things. I don't understand why the poor man needed to pass away for people to buy his music. But again, you're right. Like Gary said, in all honesty, sincere sympathies. And if you're a fan of his, we're not happy about that at all. And we didn't wish it on him or anything like that. So rest in peace.
That's always how it happens, though, right? You know, somebody passes and there's this wave of kind of nostalgia and just this outpouring of support for the person, and they come to prominence again for a while. And I mean, look at when Michael Jackson died. He became Saint Michael, you know? I mean, I'm not going to touch any of the stuff that he was accused of and any of that stuff, but just the fact that he suddenly became the biggest deal in the world for a while after he died, when I'm not saying he faded into obscurity, but it's not like people were talking about Michael Jackson all the time and then he died and then, you know, all you heard about was Michael Jackson. It's not an uncommon thing. I think it's just human nature to want or miss something when it's gone. You know, we don't really appreciate things properly when we have them. We have to lose them in order to really have an appreciation for them properly.
Yeah, it's true. And I'm sick and tired of hearing. I'm glad we're finally into 2017, even though there have been in the NHL world, too, some passings already. But everybody was blaming the year. You know, 2016 was killing people. And for some reason, all celebrities and musicians, it was just a strange coincidence. But the year had nothing to do with that. It just so happened that people that we know, and I don't know if that's just because there's so much more news at the fingertips now that everybody knows everybody else's business all the time. So hopefully 2017 will be a little bit cooler and we can hold on to our celebrities a lot longer and appreciate them while we have them. Okay. So please. I
don't know if you heard, but the last big celebrity death of 2016 was William Christopher, who played Father Mulcahy on MASH.
Yes.
And MASH happens to be my wife's favorite show. So that was a particularly poignant one for us. And, you know, he was a real minister. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah, that's why he got so many kind of priest roles, because he actually was a Protestant minister of some stripe. I don't recall which denomination he practiced, but yeah, I mean, the man literally practiced what he preached.
God bless. Rest in peace.
So, anyway, why don't we get started with the podcast proper, James? We've flapped our gums for a while now. So would you be so kind as to get us back on track and tell us what's on deck for this show?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
You say you want a resolution. So long 2016 and welcome 2017. Gary and I will give our New Year's DEK hockey resolutions and we'll keep track of them with updates as the year goes on. Gear Bag for the rich. A company called Dynavision has developed a training light board designed to improve your reaction time. Detroit Red Wings backup rookie goalie Jared Coro was featured in an article from SportsTechie.com stating that the D2 did indeed slash his reaction time in half. What do you think, American Rhino? And 99 plus 1 equals Happy Birthday NHL. The National Hockey League has a whole year planned to celebrate its historic 100th birthday, and we're all invited. And that's what's on deck.
Thank you, sir.
You are welcome, sir.
All right. So I do want a resolution, James. Well, you know, we all want something.
Change the world.
Yeah, whatever. I do like that song. It's just, I feel like I don't want to do the Beatles a disservice by, you know. Anyway, what are we talking about?
So yeah, resolution. So exactly, Gary so smartly caught on to the pun there, the Beatles Revolution. And there's two versions of that too. There's the White Album version and the single version, which is a bit harder and faster. Two of which I love those songs. I'm a Beatle fanatic as well. So
neither of which to be confused with Revolution number 9.
No, that's a totally
number
different.
9. Number
totally
9.
Different thing.
Number 9. Number 9. They really liked Adam Graves, is what I'm saying.
Exactly. Well, who doesn't? So
that's true.
That's cool. Anyway. So yeah, the tradition of New Year's is setting resolutions and or goals and hopefully sticking with them and making yourself a little bit of a better human being and improving your life in some way, shape, or form. So I'm not one to make a resolution because I'm not one to stick to it. And I do have a lot of things I need improvement on. So I just figure let the chips fall where they may. But for this case, since we are doing a Hit the Deck podcast, and since I enjoy this podcast so much and an honor to be a part of it with the American Rhino and all you wonderful fans out there, we'll give you some resolutions we have for deck hockey. And I need, again, a lot of improvement in my deck hockey game. Because quite frankly, if Gary wasn't such a generous, wonderful man, I would not be good enough to be on his team at all. So first things first, goals for playing, at least for me. Obviously, it would be great to literally score goals.
Right, yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, not so much for me, but I understand from your perspective.
Hey, man, you could go for an empty netter here or there. Hopefully, we'll see. But the other thing is that as a defenseman, it's a defenseman's duty, first and foremost, to feed the puck and start a play to get to the guys that can score. So my goal, if it's unrealistic, maybe so, I want to at least score 1 assist every game. The other thing is I need that accurate shot. So between hopefully getting accurate passing and at least having an accurate shot, if not scoring, at least it'll go where I want it to go. So that's 2. And the other thing is stick handling. So
do what you wanna do with who. Sorry, I don't know. I didn't want to disrespect the Beatles, and then I break out into the Mamas and the Papas. So I'm sorry. Carry on.
That's okay. They weren't, well, whatever. I'll keep my opinion to myself because I don't want anybody else dying and then people blaming me for it.
You don't understand. No, go.
I know Mama Cass is, well, whatever. Okay, so yeah. So
I think everybody but Mama Michelle has died.
Oh, okay. So don't blame me. Blame David Jay-Z. So apparently he's a hitman. I don't know. Goals for playing are an assist a game, accurate shot, and good stick handling. And again, we'll keep track of those things as the year goes along on our podcast, and to hold me to that, to make sure that I at least make my team better and hopefully make myself a better player too and earn my spot on a roster. For our anything that I know you're terrific. Your game is pretty much as bulletproof as it can get.
Yeah, well, you talked about letting the chips fall where they may. I have been letting too many chips fall into my mouth. So I would like to, like half of America, I would like to lose a little weight and become a bit more flexible, which will make me, I think, quicker and faster to the puck, and also be better on my knees, which, as anyone who listens to the podcast knows, has been a consistent problem for me. So, I'm just generally getting better shape, I think, will make me a better goalie. So that's my goal for 2017. 2017. New year, new goalie. I don't know.
There's only one goalie for me. So.
All right. Well, thank you.
All due respect to as great as Mike and Craig are, and I love those guys too. They're great teammates, but it's always a given that poor Gary's stuck with me on his team no matter what.
Listen, speaking of Mike, I just want to shout out Mike here on the podcast because the last time we played last weekend, he made a ridiculous save where he's not a drop down goalie. He's pretty much a stand up goalie entirely, but. Not that he dropped down, but he literally dove across the crease, glove first, and knocked down a puck that was on the other side of the net that was going in from a puck that he had no business getting anywhere near. So I just wanted to, from the American Rhino, I just wanted to call out the great save that he made because he earned it.
Excellent. Yeah, just to give you an idea of how good everybody in the LIQ is.
And Mike's always had a great glove, but this was just nuts.
Excellent, man.
I mean, he was horizontal when he made the save.
Wow. Again, it's unfortunate that we can't videotape these things or at least get some kind of record of it, but awesome stuff. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah, sure.
So in terms of our Hit the Deck plans, we kind of need a big assist from our listeners out there. So if you wouldn't mind, those listening and loyal listeners, we love you and we appreciate you. Thank you so much. Please spread the word about us. We'd appreciate that a lot. Let people know about the podcast. If you know any other hockey fans, please let them know about the podcast. If you're at a Ranger game or a Devil game or an Islander game, particularly, even if you could pass out some of our stickers, we'd appreciate that as well. And for the podcast itself, Gary will still deliver the same top quality podcasts that he always does, and I'll try my best not to hold him back too much. Or drag down the podcast too badly.
Hardly. But yes, so we need you to resolve to help us spread the word about Hit the Deck, because as you said before, we love doing it and we are so very appreciative of you for listening, but we'd love to grow the podcast and get more listeners and make this thing even bigger and better. So if you could help us out by telling some friends who you think might be interested in the show, we would very much appreciate it.
Absolutely. And even floorball players and ice hockey players, if you'd want to listen, or roller hockey, whatever, we'd appreciate that as well. So thank you.
And actually, James, since it'll be before the next podcast we have, I just thought I'd mention it. Next Wednesday, I believe, is the 1-year anniversary of the day that I pitched the idea of the Hit the Deck podcast to you.
Yeah, that's right. So we're getting to our first official anniversary of the first podcast too. So that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, that's coming up in February, right?
Yes. Yeah. Which was basically a month after you came up with a brilliant idea. So awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
You should be proud of your child.
Well, look, as I've said many times, I don't want to bore the listener anymore, but as I've said many times, if it wasn't for you, there would be no podcast because I would have nothing to talk about. So it's a labor of love, equal parts by both of us. So let that be the last we say of it for now.
Fair enough. Spoken like a true goalie. Nothing gets by this man, so don't even attempt it. For another resolution, sticking to strict practices during the week. Again, these are my resolutions specifically because I need a lot of work and I admit that. But it's time to put my money where my mouth is. So things that we mentioned before, I need to practice stick handling, passing, and my footwork as well. As a defenseman, a lot of times you have to use your whole body to block shots. And specifically in deck hockey, you're not allowed to really hit anybody or check anyone or anything like that. So you need to rely on your stick and your feet and whatever you can get in the way to stop a shot from getting through or a pass from going through as well. So footwork is very important in that way. Plus running backwards too, believe it or not, as defensemen need to skate backwards in the NHL or any form of ice hockey or roller hockey. The same is a little bit true for deck hockey as well, because the only difference is if you give up ground, you're kind of following the player in front of him and being a little bit more of a nuisance for your goalie. So at least if you're backing up, you can try and poke check or something like that, or at least stay a little bit low to keep the pass away and make sure that you're not screening your goalie. So those are things I'm going to work on as well.
You know, footwork is something that I should resolve to work on too, because I find too often I get caught leaning the wrong way. So I want to try and balance my weight a little in net, try and kind of center myself on the balls of my feet instead of leaning one way or the other, just kind of resting. So that's something that I consciously need to work on.
Okay. And another thing actually is last week, Gary and I went ice skating at the World Ice Arena in Queens. And you did come up with some great things as we were skating. And Gary's just amazing. I fell at least 2 times and almost 3, but we'll leave it at that. And Gary's just skating around like, nobody's business.
I only saw you fall once, and it was more like a victory fall. You fell to your knees and slid forward like, it was your arms up, victorious.
Yeah, I scored an imaginary goal. And then I tripped over the blue line. But anyway.
Listen, whatever you did out there, it was better than the 2 guys that were skating with their pants around their ankles.
Okay, fine. That's fair enough.
Like, on purpose. They didn't just like, oops. They were, I think, they were like laughing and looking at each other like, oh, which one of us is going to fall first? Oh, we're hazards to everyone around us. Oh, boy.
Again, to those 2 goons and everybody listening out there, as Gary always says, don't be that guy.
Yeah, really.
And that's what he's talking about. So,
those 2 guys, don't be those guys.
Amen to that. So anyway, while we were skating and trying to remedy the fact that I fell a couple of times and I didn't want to anymore, Gary gave me some advice as to what he does to avoid goons like that or people getting in the way. Because as we said on a couple of Hit the Decks ago, ice skating in public areas around New York, because it's so highly populated, is difficult because just like if you're trying to walk around in the city, as we refer to Manhattan as the city, it's overly crowded and it's very congested and it's hard to get anywhere. The same thing happens on the ice hockey rinks here in the tri-state area where we live. So people have a tendency to clump in certain areas. And as Gary mentioned, too, they have better lines than football teams when it comes to defense, where they'll be like 4 or 5 people holding hands and not allowing anyone else to go around them. So it's very challenging. So Gary was just saying, and this is going to go all the way back to your footwork point of the deck hockey thing, is that you can do things subtly. You don't have to really do too much in terms of getting out of the way, or which helped me a lot too, which made a lot of sense too. So Gary, if you wouldn't mind, if you remember some of those suggestions that you came up with, but I think they can translate into the deck hockey world too, because again, you don't have to have an elaborate move. You could just do something subtly, like you said, stay on the balls of your feet or whatever the case is.
Yeah, I mean, I believe what I told you in terms of skating was instead of trying to make like wide sweeping turns by moving your legs, instead just try and position your feet differently, like move your ankles and just try and point your skates a little differently. As far as that transfers over to deck hockey, really the only kind of close comparison I can think of is instead of trying to make big movements side to side, just, you can maybe shift your weight side to side, or instead of make kind of running around, you can just pivot, or just don't think about trying to be everywhere. Try and think about positioning yourself the best way you can position yourself in any given situation. Subtle movements so that you are agile enough to follow the play. Don't commit too big to any one side or the other if you can help it.
Exactly. And just keeping mental notes of that as well is, as you've ever heard, if you're an athlete or a fan of teams and things like that, if you ever heard the term flat-footed, being caught flat-footed, the meaning behind that really is that, exactly as Gary was saying, is either you have your feet firmly planted on the ground, which may sound silly, but in terms of deck hockey and baseball and sports like that, is, like Gary was saying again, it's better to be on the balls of your feet so that you're ready to react and you can shift quickly and you don't have all of your weight on your feet so that it's like you have to lift your whole foot and your leg and your whole whatever side of your body to make an action. You can kind of emulate a dancer, I suppose, and do a quicker action and be in position to move. Like, for example, if you're a baseball fan, if you've ever heard a center fielder like Willie Mays always used to say that he'd kind of know what pitch was coming, and if it was a breaking ball or something like that, and there's a right-handed batter, that his quote-unquote first step would be on the balls of his feet, and he'd be motioning towards where he thinks the ball would go on average if it's a fly ball hit to him. So things like that. So just always be prepared, because again, I've been burned so many times in the LIQ by guys with great hands and great feet, such as Brad and Carlos and Brett, that it's by the time they go around me, I'm just totally out of the play. So that is being caught flat-footed. So something to work on is with the footwork is to try and make sure I'm not like both feet are planted on the ground like they're cemented down there. So trying to anticipate and be a little bit lighter on your feet.
Perfect.
Is
Thank
what
you,
we're trying
James.
to say. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So pull me out of that one, man. That was a long-winded way to say that. But the last thing, as Gary again mentioned before, is staying in game shape for our resolutions. And that, again, is what Gary was saying, is cardio work. So as we've mentioned in past Hit the Decks, in terms of exercises and things you could do, like in my case, I live in a small apartment and I'm not a member of a gym. So make the best of what you have. So you can do many different forms of cardio work, where even if you're running up and down steps or shadow boxing or doing burpees, as we said before, stick with that. And that's something I'm going to be much stricter with, because it's just better to be healthy as well, to fight off colds and things like that. And you have more energy and you sleep better and all the benefits from there. But on top of it all, you can play better, you could stay in the game a lot longer, and if the game goes right down to the wire, you're prepared to hold on to that lead and get the victory.
Yeah, and especially going into the kind of heavy winter season, where we are scheduled to get some snow this weekend, in fact. And so when the snow comes, it can be hard to get games in because it can completely cover your rink or, playing area. And so it can be easy to fall out of game shape. So you kind of have to commit yourself to the idea of trying to stay in shape, doing exercise or whatever, even if it's not going to be, full game shape, because the only way to get in game shape, true game shape, is by playing games. But try and keep yourself, ready to play hockey. Don't completely give up on any ambition of staying in shape. Try and do what you can. Like James was saying, there are some exercises you can do even if you don't belong to a gym, you live in a small space. There are things you can do, things you can try. So just try and be ready for when the snow melts and it's game on again.
Exactly right. And I learned that lesson many, many a time, especially the last time that we played back in November. So go back if you want to listen to that Hit the Deck episode as well.
Hey, James, before we move on to the next topic, I just want to slip in a quick rebound shot here. Sure. You're always talking about how, as a defenseman, it's your job to make sure that no shots get to the goalie. So if I have a bad game, we're usually talking about me having a bad game in goal. If I have a bad game, it's not my fault because the defense let me down. I want to follow up with a quote from Henrik Lundqvist after the Rangers game. If you don't know, the Rangers played a pretty bad game and got blown out by a pretty bad team in Buffalo the other day. So after that game, the goalie, Henrik Lundqvist, said the following: "We made some mistakes and it's my job to be there and clean it up, but was just not able to do that." So it doesn't matter what your defense does in front of you. Henrik Lundqvist said what I keep saying: it's the goalie's job to stop it, no matter where it comes from or why it comes. It's on me. So there. Ha!
Okay, and not to burst your bubble, and point noted, but the second part of that back-to-back night when the Rangers went to Philadelphia this week, as we're talking, Mr. Lundqvist was unstoppable. And even to the point that the game was on NBC, whatever, NBC Sports Network. And I'll be honest with you, man. I mean, they don't like the Rangers on that network, and they make no bones about it either.
Yeah, I caught a little bit of that game. It's like, oh, the Rangers are in the zone. Good shot there. Almost went in. Like, gee, tone down the enthusiasm just a little bit, guys.
Yeah, because it was in Philly, and they have a lot on the line, too, because they're kind of playing for their playoff life right now. So Lundqvist made 30 saves. He would have made 32 saves had it not been for, unfortunately, every defenseman's nightmare. McDonough was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. The puck deflected off of him, and that's one of the reasons why teams are told to just shoot on net. And especially if there's traffic, you never know what's going to bounce off of. So that's nightmare number one. And the second one was a knuckleball that went in late in the game, and it was really kind of a meaningless goal. So Lundqvist completely dominated the game. The Rangers
and that's
ended up
his job.
5-2.
That is his job, James.
Right, but even the anti-Rangers NBC guys had to admit that Lundqvist was playing angry, and when he's angry, nobody's going to stop him or get past him, and it was true. So I definitely hear you. Yeah, we're teammates and this and that, but it's really the defense. That's what you're there for. You're supposed to make sure that, your goalie is literally the last line of defense and the most important player on the ice, but you want to make his life or her life as easy as possible. So whenever there's a shot, and again, it's unrealistic, that's a breakdown in defense. But I hear you, I understand, and that's the mentality that you beautiful, wonderful goalies have, is that's your net, and you win. Well, you don't take credit for winning, but you do take too much credit for losing. So I hear you.
All right, enough goalie talk. What's the next topic, James?
Well, this is kind of more goalie talk, I'm sorry to say. It's
if only I had some way of knowing that.
We're going to dip into the gear bag for the first time in 2017, but this is a gear bag that's way out of our price range to the fact that
I got to tell you, James, have you seen the price of gear bags lately? Most of them are out of my price range.
Yeah, you and me both, brother. But there's a company called Dynavision that's been around for a few years, and they're on the cutting edge of sports rehab and things of that nature. So they have developed a board known as the D2, and it's not the Mighty Ducks movie.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah. Anyway.
Quack, 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 quack. Ducks fly together, James. Ducks fly together.
Yes, they do. So,
I'm sorry. Please continue.
Thank you. So Dynavision developed this board called the D2, which, if there's any Odd Couple fans out there, and I am one of them, and I'm proud to say so, from the 70s sitcom, and the movie in the 60s was excellent too. Actually, part of it was filmed at Shea Stadium, thank you very much, in 1968. But the board, it's a black board. It's 4x4, and it looks a lot like the quote-unquote clock in the Odd Couple episode titled "Take My Furniture, Please." So if you get the joke, I hope you do. If not, I'll do you a favor and post both the D2 and the Odd Couple futuristic clock up on our Facebook and Twitter feeds.
Thank you.
For your convenience. You got it for your convenience. So anyway, the D2 is a state-of-the-art blackboard that is it's a box shape, 4x4, 4 foot by 4 foot. And there are 64 little bumps in the shape of like a fireworks star, look like a burst shape. And what you do is you you focus on the center of it, and you have to press the buttons that light up red or green, and you don't know where they're coming from. And it really helps your peripheral vision more than anything else, and it helps your reaction time as well. So that's something for a goalie that is very, very helpful in stopping pucks coming at you, especially if they're coming from the sides or something like that, or if someone's doing a wraparound, you can kind of, as you've stated many a time, I mean, the hockey mask really cuts your peripheral vision drastically.
Very much. Yeah,
so hopefully,
the way you're describing it sounds a little like a light bright.
It's exactly right. Or it's light bright is another great analogy. Or growing up in the 80s, there was a Simon game.
Oh, yes, Simon, sure.
Yeah, you had to press the light up buttons and remember the pattern.
Yeah, I'm not good at that.
Neither am I.
After like 2 or 3, I'm like, I don't remember. My memory is not good.
Exactly. And that's where the hockey skills come in, because you put it down and you start shooting it at the wall. So.
Yeah. Yes.
So the D2 and the backup goalie, he's a rookie, Mr. Coro, Jared Coro, credits his head coach for introducing him to the light board. And he says in an article that was posted in sportstechie.com, it really cut his reaction time in half and has helped his career so far, and hopefully will help him down the road. And the other good thing about the D2 is that it helps in rehabbing too. So it's not just for professional rinks or arenas of any sport, not just hockey. It could be baseball, football, whatever else you're out there doing that you need peripheral vision and skills like that. So it also challenges you too if you want to balance as you're doing it and you're focusing on the board. And again, we'll put up the links or the pictures at least, so you can kind of see what we're talking about. And if you want to go see it in action itself, you can go to dynavisioninternational.com to see the D2 there. So it's pretty cool, and it's another cutting-edge thing in the world of hockey, and it's actually proven to be helpful for at least one goalie in the NHL, and probably more to come.
Yeah, well, I mean, it sounds appealing. I was always good at whack-a-mole, so this seems like the kind of thing that I would be good at. No, in all seriousness, anything that cuts your reaction time, I would be very interested in. I'm a very reaction-based goalie, generally. That's more my style. I don't like to commit early. I prefer to react. So, if it's something that would theoretically help, have my reaction time, and, when you're talking tenths and hundredths of a second, that's not that much, but every little bit helps when you're trying to stop the puck. So that's really, obviously, as you said, it's gear bag for the rich. So I don't expect to have any opportunity to try this thing out, but something like that does sound really appealing to me as a goalie.
Yeah, and it makes sense too, especially as you're saying, you have to, if your glove hand needs a little work or if your blocker side needs a little work, that could probably help your muscle memory a little bit more too, where you're just shooting immediately to, okay, glove up or blocker up or whatever the case is. So I imagine it's not going to help your 5-hole much, but, nothing's perfect. So we'll see.
Uh-huh.
And again, yeah, it's another thing too that it's designed to do is to help reduce the amount of concussions in the NHL specifically as well, and even in football too, because minor league or high school and college football players have used the light board as well, and it's helped them to prevent concussions and to recover from concussions and things like that, which is a really big issue in the world of sports lately. So that's always good too. And
yeah, that makes good sense. If you can see the puck better, you're less likely to get hit in the head by it. So
yeah, so which kind of makes me scared whenever Lundqvist does that on purpose. He's got too much soccer in his blood. Yeah. So, but as we also said before, as Ben Bishop actually literally lost his 2 front teeth in October from taking a shot to the mask. So, these guys are strong and the pucks are hard. So
maybe he just wanted to look scary for Halloween. We didn't address that on the podcast, but it's, that's also an option.
That's true. That's true. So there you go. That's the D2 made by Dynavision.
All right. Well, good job, Dynavision.
Absolutely. Now, as we've again mentioned in the past, the NHL is 100 years old.
Oh, they don't look a day over 90.
No, they don't. So I remember like yesterday that it was the 75th anniversary too, and I really liked the throwback jerseys and that cool patch that they wore throughout the league that season. So as you know, I'm sure that the centennial celebration, officially the puck dropped on the year-long celebration on January 1st, 2017 in Toronto with the Centennial Classic outdoor game between the Red Wings and the Maple Leafs, which was a great game, too, and it looked really cool. It's always fun to watch the outdoor games anyway, but great atmosphere, great game, and it translated well. From there, the NHL has selected the 100 greatest NHL players in history, and they've already revealed 33 of those fantastic players on their website and on NHL Network and throughout the league and things like that. So if you want to go check it out, by all means, it's basically the infancy of the league, and they threw in Mr. Hockey as well, Mr. Howe, because you have to, So
we still don't know if Gretzky made the cut.
I don't think. Yeah, I mean that's splitting hairs here. I don't know if he's good enough. We'll see.
He is right on the borderline, so you never know.
As they say, the guy didn't even need to score 1 goal, and he still would have led the league in most points because of his assists.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. It's I got my fingers crossed, and I'm praying. I hope that he does make it. But we'll wait with bated breath to see.
We'll see. Yeah, we'll keep you posted on that, listener.
Yeah. So the official all 100 greatest players in NHL history will be officially unveiled during All-Star Weekend in LA, which it's actually Wayne Gretzky's birthday on the 26th. So between January 25th through the 27th with the actual All-Star game, they'll announce the 100 greatest NHLers of all time.
Excellent.
Another thing that they're planning on doing is the Centennial celebration will visit every NHL market and dozens of other local hockey communities during the 12-month festival of events. And it'll culminate with the anniversary of the league's founding on November 26th and the first games ever played on December 19th. So there are some cool things to look forward to during Thanksgiving and Christmas time of 2017.
This is completely catching you off guard, and I'm sorry about this, but do you have any idea where the first official NHL game took place?
Going to take a shot in the dark and guess somewhere in Canada.
All right. That's fair.
Maybe Toronto, because that's where the Hall of Fame is. Like for baseball, Cooperstown is where the Baseball Hall of Fame is. So I'm assuming maybe the Toronto area would have probably been the first NHL game ever played.
All right. Well, maybe we can look that up and give our listeners an update next week. Or maybe one of you very knowledgeable listeners can shoot us a email or a tweet at hitthedeck@gmail.com or hit us up on Twitter at hitthedeckpod, or leave a comment on our Facebook page at Hit the Deck and let us know, where did it take place? I mean, I guess I could just do a quick Google search, but where's the fun in that when you can let other people do the work for you? It's the American way.
And tying all of this together,
yes,
actually, is at the recording of this podcast, a very important hockey game is being, well, two very important hockey games are being played. One, pitting Team USA versus Team Canada again, versus one another.
USA. This is the World Juniors. Yes, James?
Exactly right. The World Junior Hockey Championship gold medal game is being played tonight. And as of right now, Team USA and Canada, I believe, are in the second period and are tied 2-2.
Nice.
So we'll see how that goes. And the USA has faced Canada 3 times previously in the World Juniors finals, by the way, and are 2-1 versus Canada.
Nice.
So we'll see. Obviously, Canada has won everything that they can compete in terms of hockey in the last year or two.
Yeah.
Olympics and World Cup and whatever else have you.
Out of curiosity, James, who did the USA beat to get to the finals with Team Canada?
Excellent question. They beat Russia for the first time in the tournament's history that the Team USA knocked off Russia in a playoff round of the World Championships.
You don't say. I do seem to recall USA knocking off Russia in the semifinals of another international tournament. It was like 30-some years ago, 37 years ago or something. I don't know. It's probably not that important. I just thought it was worth mentioning.
Yeah, just rub that salt in the wounds of the Russians a little bit more, why don't you? And
I just figured it was a good sign.
I'm supplying you the salt, by the way. So
all right.
That's right. The 1980 U.S. Olympic team, which just, I mean, if you've heard any of our podcasts in the past, you know how much respect and love we have for that amazing, great team and the Herculean effort and the magnificent performance that they pulled off to knock off that miracle of miracles in terms of sports. So, yeah, exactly. So maybe a little bit of that magic was held over. And the 2016-2017 team is following in that footsteps. And there are a lot of guys from Boston University on the current team, too. So I don't know if there's a little connection there, too, with the 1980 Olympic team as well. So go USA. Fun
fact that I learned today, Boston was the place where they first started selling ice commercially.
Wow.
Yes, back in the turn of the century, like 1900 time frame, a company based out of Boston sold, like, in the winter they would cut up ice blocks out of a lake, a local lake or several local lakes, and they would sell the ice to areas of the country and the world that did not get cold.
That's amazing. Well, It's better than the expression of selling ice to an Eskimo. So that's pretty cool. A nice bit of information. We're learning a lot tonight on Hit the Deck.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if they wore skates while they were doing it, but, there you go.
It makes sense because Boston is such a great hotbed for hockey, and so many great players have come out of there. So excellent. Thank you for that tidbit.
Sure.
The other huge thing going on in the world of hockey tonight, unfortunately, it's a final, but the Blue Jackets were going for a record-tying 17th win in a row. Unfortunately, the Capitals had something to say about that, and they shut out the Blue Jackets 5-0. So their incredible streak stops at 16 in a row, which is really amazing because they've shot up the standings and have kind of taken over in the East over there. So great effort for them, and we'll see how that goes because, like we were saying before, Philadelphia had a great streak going of 10 in a row, and then they've kind of faltered since then. So slow and steady wins the race maybe, but we'll see how that goes for the rest of the year for the Blue Jackets. So tip your cap or bang your sticks on the ice to them for a great effort of 16 in a row.
Speaking of Ovechkin, did you see the story that was in the news last week about the Devils rookie player Miles Wood, who when he was 11 sent Alex Ovechkin a letter with a self-addressed stamped envelope and a hockey card. And the letter said, "Dear Alex, sign this, or when I reach the NHL, I'm going to check you really hard. And then fast forward 10 years later, and he actually started playing with the Devils. And they faced Washington last week. And actually, he didn't get the opportunity because Ovechkin got wind of this, and he sent him a signed card. He sent a signed card over to the locker room before the game saying, "Go easy on me tonight."
Oh, that is awesome. And
then after the game, he took a picture with Miles Wood in his bathrobe. So, just goes to show,
that's awesome.
Some people will do anything for vengeance, including becoming good enough to make the NHL.
How's that for incentive? So well done on both cases.
Yeah. Good job, both of you. Way to be true sportsmen.
Last minute remaining in the podcast.
Thank you, Pops. Okay, so I hope you've had an enjoyable Hit the Deck podcast, and I'm, of course, talking to you, the listener, because who else would I be talking to? Myself? I do talk to myself sometimes. It's a habit that, I don't know. Either I'm crazy or I have no one else that wants to listen to me. But either way, I should probably not do that. Anyway, I seem to be talking to myself right now. I do tend to ramble a lot, as my wife will attest, and I apologize for that because you deserve better, dear listener. Oh boy. Anyway, thank you, Pops, for being the voice of the podcast. Thank you to Anthony Sajazi for music used in the podcast. Thank you to the LIQ for providing sound effects to the podcast. I would encourage you, our very dear listener, not only to spread the word, as we talked about earlier in the podcast, but if you have not taken the opportunity to do so as yet, please subscribe to the podcast, because that also helps us a great deal. Subscribe on iTunes, on Stitcher, or any other place where you happen to get your podcasts. I know you get them somewhere because you're listening to us right now. Subscribe. It'll make things easier on you, and it helps us. All right? And please, as I mentioned before, feel free if you want to talk to us about something, if you want to correct us on something, if you just have an interesting bit of trivia you think that we should discuss on the show, email us at hitthedeck@gmail.com, or tweet at us at hitthedeckpod, or hit us up on Facebook or Instagram, or, I don't know, smoke signals, whatever. Just come to our house and ring our doorbell and say, "Hey, I want to talk to you about Hit the Deck." And I will be freaked out because I don't know how you know where I live, but, it's nice to see passionate fans. James, do you have anything to add, please?
I just want to personally thank you officially for this awesome Hit the Deck hockey jersey that you bought for me again. I love it so much, and it's so cool, and I hope that when we do expand, that the fans out there would want to buy it as well. And Gary was cool enough to post it on our Instagram, so you could check it out there. And also, we have the McComiskey Cup that Mr. Gary Mack so coolly presented this wonderful jersey to me in his very own Stanley Cup. So thank you for that, and thanks for listening, and see you for episode 41, guys.
I would also like to thank my family for providing me with beautiful new headphones for Christmas, which is not a deck hockey gift per se, but it is a gift that allows me to do a podcast about deck hockey, so it is tangentially related. So thank you for these beautiful Sony headphones. They are very comfortable, and they work really, really well. So thanks to my family for that. And I would, of course, like to thank you for being a devoted listener and for sticking with the podcast. We look forward to a great 2017. We have a lot of stuff that we expect to do and think that you will enjoy. So please stick with us. And if you would like to contribute, as I said, email us or tweet at us. And finally, as James said, you don't have to be somebody skating around the ice with your pants around your knees to be that guy, but that's just one example. So I'm sure you can think of others, and if you do, I would encourage you strongly to remember that it's deck hockey. Don't be that guy. Thanks, everybody. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, James.
I've been wasting mine for 38 years.
So I have a little catching up to do, is what you're saying.
Yeah. Don't follow me, please, whatever you do.